And ideas. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
Hello, Jay. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Tom?
I'm very, very good. We continue our project of when was the last? This is always a fun game. We recorded one of these last September, Jay.
Right.
No, that's a
Yeah.
lie. Oh, no, it was September. It was September. Yeah.
It was a while.
It was a while. Weird, weird trajectory of time. Not unlike the Twilight Zone.
Oh, that's true.
Excellent stuff. We are back to we are in our second block of 10 episodes on our countdown of the top 50 in no particular order.
Yep.
We have thus far watched 13 episodes. We've watched 13 episodes. No, that's a lie. We've watched 12, but we already rank Walking Distance because it's our both shared favorites. That may change as we continue, but who knows? Today, we're going to Series 2 for an episode that is written as, well, not as always, but as majoritively speaking, by Rod Serling and directed by Boris Sagal, who also directed the episode The Arrival, which is not in our top 50. It's pretty. It's not bad, but it's also not particularly notable.
Right.
That one follows a plane arriving without any passengers, but then it turns out it's all a delusion from the. I think it's either the inspector or the flight controller. And he's having a delusion, a depressive delusion, because a load of people died on a plane once. I'm not remembering it very well. It's one of those.
He was a fan of Lost.
He did love Lost. And this Manifest, apparently. My sister was watching a show called Manifest earlier, and that's the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm watching Yellow Jackets, which is also similar.
Yeah. Stephen King loved the first series. Apparently the second series isn't as good. What's the J report?
What, of Yellow Jackets?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely has some good moments, but then I think I'm kind of hoping that season 3 is kind of a bounce back to season 1.
Could be.
A lot of it felt like treading water.
Series 2 of Breaking Bad wasn't excellent, and then 3 and 4.
Yeah, I think it's the sophomore slump is what they call it with TV shows, where season 2 just goes down.
Unlike Mad Men, where it's just as good.
That's
and
true.
we get to go to LA for the first time and don with joy.
Succession
with Jay. I'm finally watching Succession.
Oh, where you at? What season?
I finished series 3 and I have all of series 4 downloaded to go onto the ship. However, in true Twitter fashion, I have had everything ruined for me.
It's still worth it.
It's still worth it. And I keep having to remind myself that I knew how Mad Men ended. That's what I keep telling myself. I knew how Mad Men ended. I, however, didn't know how Barry ended, and it was absolutely sublime. Have you caught up with Barry yet, Jay?
No, I haven't watched any of season 4.
Barry was superb.
The
Silence. An episode which very good. Bum, 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 bum. Look at that. That is thick.
Script.
Is that just series 1 or is that?
That's season 2.
Series 2. Very good. That is thick. Look at that.
But the silence.
The silence. Into series 2. This is what I wrote of it when I did my rankings many moons ago when we were in Christopher Court, as a matter of fact. And I kept keeping Leanne up every night with the sound of, Tom, what is that show you're watching every night that goes da na 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 na? Because I can't hear the rest of the show, but every 30 minutes I hear this noise.
It's funny because when I watched the episode and the music played, I was
What was that? That had to have been like,
oh,
I don't know,
I
like
was scared that that Finn was gonna run downstairs and attack me.
That's my fear when that's just a constant waking fear in life. Um, Finn from the Polar Express episode and the Fight Club episode and the Social Network episode. There you go.
Polar Express episode.
He was on the Polar Express. Apparently, him and Lauren love Polar Express.
That's crazy.
Polar Express is a funny episode because I hate it, and I'm trying to say that it's shit. And then Will and his girlfriend at the time, Becky, and Finn and his girlfriend at the time, and then on the time anyway. They all four of them are just railing into me for not liking the Polar Express and making out like I'm a soulless individual.
You know, it's funny because I brought that film up to him last week. He didn't mention that he loved it because I said I didn't realize that the main character was never named.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
Hero Boy. Now, this is the thing. This is a whole tangent on the episode. Apparently, he's called Hero Boy.
He's my favorite superhero.
Yeah, me and you know the truth, Jay, which is that the best Christmas episode of all Christmas film of all time is Eyes Wide Shut.
It's true.
It's true. I wrote this of The Silence, an episode nothing short of absolutely sensational, with one of Serling's most deviously deceptive and cunning scripts, dripping with wit and brutality at every turn. The episode follows a relatively simple bet in a gentleman's club that quickly becomes a subject of a cat and mouse game between two minds of equal stubbornness and unfortunately equal hubris. An evolution by Serling's own admission of Anton Chekhov's short story The Bet, the episode brims with conversations and battles of intellect, usually one-sided by the nature of the situation, making them all the more tragic and hard to watch. These two men come to us played by Francois Tone and Liam Sullivan, with Jonathan Harris as the chorus-esque overseer of events. Tone is incredibly cunning and evil in this, with his final comments being filled with the great tragedy of any acceptance of defeat. But Sullivan's titular silence and his ability to convey all with just the eyes leads to the images from this episode that will stick with me forever. Yes, based on subconsciously, Serling says wasn't intentional. He'd read the short story and then forgotten. It's an Anton Chekhov short story called The Bet, where a man bets that somebody can't stay locked up in a manor house and just be completely alone for a year. I believe that short story ends with halfway through the bet just falling apart because the guy admits that he doesn't have any money. Not like this. Serling takes it that step further and gives it that gut punch ending. Jay, what did you think of The Silence?
Oh, I loved it.
Very
dark, rough ending. I love the performances of all the oh god, what's his name?
Francois Tone is the old man, Colonel Archie.
Yeah, his voice is like
velvet,
yeah, very much rich, evil American man. And then absolutely sold on the main character being extremely annoying within the first 20 seconds.
This was one of the ones that we watched in those weird random marathon nights after parties where it's like, oh yeah, let's watch 4 Twilight Zone episodes. And I mentioned it to Rian earlier. I said, oh, I'm on with Jay later. We're doing the episode where the guy cuts his vocal cords. And her exact response was, that one still annoys me to this day. Really annoyed her on that one. No, she just was like, oh, never. It just the ending just really got to her. She was like, that's horrible. That's awful.
I mean, considering how great she is at singing, I kind of
maybe that's it. Also.
Probably imagine that has something to do with it.
Rod Serling's opening narration. The note that this man is carrying across a club room is in the form of a proposed wager, but it's the kind of wager that comes without precedent. It stands alone in the annals of bet-making as the strongest game of chance ever offered by one man to another. In just a moment, we'll see the terms of the wager and what young Mr. Tennyson does about it. And in the process, we'll witness all parties spin a wheel of chance in a very bizarre casino called the Twilight Zone. This is one of our earliest examples of shoehorning the Twilight Zone into the opening narrations.
Yeah. And also, I don't think either of the narrations were needed in this episode. I think it's one of the first times where I've watched it and gone,
It is Phil. It's not. It's they are needed just by structure, but I know what you're
yeah,
saying in that they're editorializing rather than adding that final
yeah.
punch.
It's more like just yeah.
I think they downplay the tragedy of the actual ending. I mean, I've got the closing one here
Really?
again, and he's making a joke again,
Yeah,
um, only to discover somewhat belatedly that gambling can be most unproductive, even with loaded dice, marked cards, or in this case, severed vocal cords. Somewhere behind him, a wheel was turned and his number came up black 13. If you don't believe it, ask the croupier, the very special one who handles roulette in the Twilight Zone. This story for me has never been a game. Sorry, it has never been like, oh, gambling's awful. That's
yeah.
never been the moral of the story, really. I don't know.
No, no, it's a bit of a very shoehorned note of gambling is bad,
Yeah.
well, without considering what this man has gone through for the past year. His relationship with his wife is probably going to be fucked.
If it wasn't to begin with,
Yeah,
oh, I'm with this. He's clearly with this. I've got the monologue here. Do you know my wife? Her name is Doris. She's a lovely thing, frail, beautiful, fragile, like a cameo brooch. But her tastes run to unfragile things, sizable baubles for sizable price tags. She shops at Tiffany's the way other women enter a supermarket. My miserable misfortune is that I happen to be very much in love with her. I am also in desperate need of money. I may sound melodramatic, but it happens to be true. Again, that wonderful Serling dialogue where it is so blatantly expositional, but comes off as realistic and comes off as truthful and comes off as so beautifully written. In that just one completely expositional little monologue, we get exactly why he's doing this wager, and it never enters into our mind throughout the rest of the episode. How could he go through with something like this?
yeah, no, yeah, agree.
Wonderful setup and payoff. Setting up the entire episode, as you say, in that first 5 minutes with Liam Sullivan's great performance. So incredibly annoying and great, pardon me, and grating, and made even better by the filmmaking. The close up on Francois Tone's ear, the distorted voice, and then the close up of Liam Sullivan's mouth, and just in the filmmaking and the writing and the performance, immediately putting us in the perspective of Colonel Taylor and being just as annoyed as Colonel Taylor is.
Yep, yep. It's funny how I mean, it's very normal, but how much my sympathies changed by the
Mm,
end of the episode. Because, like, he very much has a point,
yeah.
and you see his point, but then by the end, you're kind of like, okay, he's in the wrong by
Mm,
a massive degree, even
mm.
though he's possibly one of the greatest haters of all time. I
Yeah, and that lovely setup before we actually know what we're going to be watching with the lawyer arriving, and I just got your letter, and he's so grave,
yeah.
and it's that immediate dialogue of, are we for real? Is this what we're actually doing here? Are you being serious? You're going to wager this man to not speak for 12 months, and
Mhm.
again we go back to this thing that's come up time and time again. It's not really that he can't speak for 12 months. That's not the bet. It's being lonely and isolated for 12 months. 12 months living in that room away from everybody and not saying a word.
Yeah,
That's the real terror. That's the real bet.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, and again, in that Serling dialogue, we completely understand both people's point of view. What may I ask is the reason for this wager? What I'm about to say might horrify the average person, but to someone as insensitive as you, it probably won't mean a thing. I dislike you intensely, Tennyson. Liam Sullivan had grown prematurely grey in his hair, so he actually had full black dyed hair to come off as younger in
Oh,
this. Yeah, it looks great.
yeah.
There's the thing that repeatedly comes up in setting up the um, older statesman quality of this gentleman's club. Breeding is mentioned multiple times, and having a good name and the money element of things. And obviously it's a foundation of sand for Colonel Taylor. He doesn't actually have any money, he doesn't have anything. And we're not exactly made clear, or maybe I've forgotten, how Tennyson has acquired the money to become part of this club. But that wonderful juxtaposition as well between old money and new money.
And also just the fact that he looks significantly younger than most of the people in the room, especially when they're all huddled around him and he's like the only one with black hair, really.
Yeah.
Besides maybe two other people in the back.
And again, they're all on Colonel Taylor's side. I mean, when he says, "Can I have my check? Can I have the check certified and on deposit?" And he balks at that idea. That might be the usual procedure in a fish market or a pawn shop, but not in this club and not with me. My credit is well known, and so is my honor, as every member here will vouch. And everybody, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, and pats him on the back. And then when Tennyson leaves to go to the door and do that little monologue about his wife, everybody of the club is going, "Oh, very well, good, brilliant, we're going to shut him up." And how those allegiances alter is such a great turn as well, of how all of this allegiance and backing is placed on, and again, on the older statesman angle of it, when in actuality, it's false. It's entirely false. I've got here. Does it appeal to your sporting blood? It does appeal to my sporting blood. Wow, that is patently ridiculous because you don't have any sporting blood about you. Great back and forth.
Yeah.
Let's talk about then the reveal of them making this room once the bet is placed, once everything is in order, and the building of this room. Oh, and the old sports room downstairs. Do you think that everybody agrees and is fine with the old sports room downstairs being turned into this lair?
Well, I mean, he has that line of "no one's used it," or something.
Sure. And then,
but
where's he getting the money?
I was thinking that. I was thinking, how much is it costing to actually make this room?
Make the room,
well,
and furnish him and feed him, and give him whatever request he likes.
Yeah. I was like, well, no wonder he can't pay him at the end.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I did have your money, but you kept asking for steak and lamb and caviar, and I get it. You needed something, but now you don't have any money. It's your own fault.
Yeah.
George Clements, the cinematographer, when interviewed by Mark Scott Zickery of the Twilight Zone Companion, said that he was rather shocked when he first saw the set and realized how many windows and reflections he was going to be dealing with, and was quite worried.
Yeah.
We have the reveal of the room. We have the reveal of the cravat. And then during this segment is the first time that we meet Francois Tone in the downstairs area. Now, did you notice something, Jay, about the way in which Francois Tone was shot in all of the scenes down in the room? Particular thing about the way he was shot and the way that he was positioned?
Wait. Oh, is this? Wait, who's? Oh,
Francois Tone is Colonel Taylor.
Yep. There was a lot of like side shots.
Yes. Do you want to know why, Jay?
Why?
They filmed all of the club sequences first.
Yeah.
Then it came to the scenes filmed downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And he was due at 7 a.m. 7 a.m. becomes 8 a.m. He's not there. Becomes 9 a.m. He's not there. 10 a.m. They finally track him down. He's in a clinic. And he has smashed up the left-hand side of his face. And it is incredibly swollen. There are two stories. He told Liam Sullivan, the actor playing Tennyson, he said to him that he had fallen off a terrace onto a driveway while picking a flower for his girlfriend, Rod Serling claims that he tried to pick up a girl in a car park, and then when that girl's boyfriend came, he drove his face into the ground. So either way, Francois Tone is a bachelor, and so they had to completely change all the filming. Now it does add a great devilish.
It feels very different and unique. I was like, wow, that's some cool cinematography.
It works. It works.
It did make me chuckle a bit inside when I think he was looking at the calendar.
Yeah.
It was just from like instead of just moving to look at it.
You can see the swelling of his eye on the Blu-ray. Because also, again, we're in 1963. Nobody's ever going to see anything. But on the Blu-ray, on the first shots of before the ad break, and he's like, "Oh, nearly time, Mr. Tennyson, nearly time," and he stood face on, and you can see like the start of the swell around his eye, and it's very funny. And it is this side-on whispering down in the basement where we get the darker side of it, where we now get him realizing he doesn't have any money, realizing that Tennyson's going to go through with the minutes.
Yeah.
And what does he do? Starts convincing him, pardon me, and probably not lying to him, maybe lying to him, maybe not, that his wife's off and about with every young man in town. And curious, she didn't accept your invite to come and stay. Curious, isn't it? Curious. And just those almost Lecter-like, convincing.
Yeah.
It's going to be an early spring. You really ought to see it. And just so brutal and horrible. And again, as Jonathan Harris tells us later, the damage has already been done. Tales of you going down and talking of his wife. So he has no money. He's lost his bet, and he's completely bastardized his reputation by being evil and deceptive, going down and talking about his wife and taunting him and teasing him. And Colonel Tennyson has got his vocal cords, so it's not a happy ending by any stretch of the imagination.
I think the only positive that I could possibly see would be that some of the men in the club might hopefully help Tennyson out.
See, this is the thing. I've always wondered, what works better, the brutal snap ending or a sort of It's a Wonderful Life ending where then everybody comes together?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's the vocal cords. We need that Twilight Zone ending. But yes. I do sometimes imagine, well, I'll give you your money, Tennyson. You're a good man. You've proved yourself. And everybody coming together, and then Colonel Taylor being pushed outside. Maybe, but that's not what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with gurgle, sing, chortle, say anything you want. Why isn't he speaking? Why isn't he speaking?
As all the men have tears in their eyes and are gathered around. Olivia called the twist.
Oh, did she?
She got sucked into the episode within the first 5 minutes, and then
it's a great episode. Did she spot the cravats?
No.
Oh,
but she just guessed.
Oh, right.
Yeah. 5 minutes before the ending.
Can you resever vocal cords? Was that his plan?
I was thinking that right before we started this.
Yeah. Can $500,000 in 1963 get you vocal cords?
Well, I mean, it's a bit of a commitment to sever your vocal cords forever for a bet, but then he is also very poor and desperate.
How many times have he's poor, he's desperate, he's in love with a wife who doesn't love him. That's another thing. Is his wife going to stick around? Well, from what we know of Doris, she probably will stick around if he's got 500,000 in 1963. Like, that's the sort of thing that will make her come back, and it maybe even love him. Or probably not, but love his money. I don't know. It's I can't imagine maybe it is a reversible operation, and he thought that 500,000 would do it. I just love Francois Toad's performance in the end when he is so desperate and he's on his back and he goes, you know, I offered you 1,000, I offered you 5,000. Even then, I would have had to go out and beg on the street. He doesn't even have 1,000.
It's brilliant, but I think there was also some satisfaction in his eyes when he saw that Tennyson had cut his vocal cords, because both of them brought in outside means to try, with him bringing up his wife and then Tennyson cutting his vocal cords to try and force the bet to go one way. Because there's no chance of him talking, obviously. So he knew that he would win. Unless he left. But he wasn't going to do that. And I think for Francois Tone's character, I think that kind of just proved that he didn't actually
wasn't able to do it.
Yeah. But then to me, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, he's that committed to doing it that I have to respect him for that.
Yeah. You've got to respect, game recognizes game.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a real kicker. Obviously, the ending goes on a little, just a touch too long. Like, that thing, why isn't he saying anything? Why isn't he saying anything? And he's going to write it down. But by that time, you've bought in, and the episode has earned a level of respect, whatever, disbelief. Today is April Fool's Day. You remember that, don't you? I think it was named after you. And again, months and months of loneliness, and he's proven you wrong. It's great. And again, that months of loneliness being, in actuality, the thing that the bet's for. This is another thing. Obviously, we're dealing with a heightened level of we're dealing with heightened material.
Yeah.
If it was 500,000, surely you could just stay quiet. He's enjoying talking, and he's enjoying talking because he's dealing with a crowd. But if he's downstairs in a room with nobody to talk to, are you going to talk?
No. Unless you talk to yourself, then I think you're fine. I know some people do talk to themselves out loud a lot.
Yeah. If he talks in his sleep, would that be allowed?
I mean, that has to be, because what are you going to do?
Yeah, the microphone. There are microphones in all of the rooms. In the room, we know this. This is what we know. Do you have? Do you have anything left to say, Jay, about the silence?
Let me have a quick think. I don't think so.
No, just a really good chamber piece. Really good chamber piece. A couple of actors. I love a setting of a gentleman's club. I don't know if you've read either of Stephen King's novellas set in the club. He has two set in like a gentleman's club.
Which ones?
There's the breathing method from different seasons, and there's the man who would not shake hands from Skeleton Crew. And in either one, it's these smoky, brandy-filled, cigar-filled gentlemen's clubs where they're telling these stories, or Peter Straub's ghost story with the Chowder Society, and such evocative material, very enjoyable. I like it a lot. Okay, then let's place, The Silence.
Get the list.
I'm seeing around position number 9, maybe better than Perchance to Dream. Although Perchance to Dream is pretty great.
I think
What do
I'd
you
agree.
think?
I'd put it above Perchance to Dream.
Yeah, I don't think it's better than Nightmare at 20,000 Feet.
No.
Yeah,
But
I'm happy with it at number 9. New number
Yeah.
9, The Silence, which gives us a new ranking. 14-1. In praise of Pip, long live Walter Jameson. Where is everybody? People are alike all over. Perchance to Dream, The Silence, Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, The Masks, The Long Morrow, and Time Enough at Last. Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up? On Thursday we leave for home. It's a Good Life and Walking Distance. Okay, and coming attractions, we have Third from the Sun, going back to season 1. Jay, we're going to be talking again in 4 minutes, but the guests will have to wait.
It's true.
Is Third from the Sun one of the episodes you've already seen, or is this a new one?
Yes.
This is the
I think this was the last one I saw.
Yes. Anyway, either way. Okay, right. I will see you momentarily. Bye bye.